How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And sometimes the game just doesn't need to be made. Today's game is an example of a thing that did not need to be made. It was released in February of 1994. And a Super Nintendo port of that game was released not long after. Matter of fact, the Super Nintendo release also came out February 1994. So there was no need. But alas, Twilight developed it, and the folks at Mindscape decided that this was a thing that needed to happen. Thankfully, it was only 5 levels of mediocrity, and you played it, you were in and out real quick, but we're going to talk about this because it needs to be, the truth needs to be told. Today's game is Alfred Chicken. Now, this game stars a chicken named Alfred in an attempt, who's attempting to rescue his chicken buddies from mecha chickens who are trying to use these chickens in cloning experiments. Now, okay, that's a serviceable, if not mediocre, premise for a platformer. But then the rest of the game is mediocre as well. The controls are sluggish, and the jumping is weirdly floaty, even for a bird. It's a flightless bird. The jumping doesn't need to be that floaty. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with a shmup section for boss fights, and all these different weird little rooms you gotta go through, all to pop balloons to advance to the next level. This game is an exercise in mediocrity. This game is everything that led to the Atari crash. Well, it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. And for the life of me, I can't wrap my brain around why this game had to happen on the NES. It was released on the Game Boy. On the PlayStation, it got a PS1 release in 2002. Well, there was a version of it released in 2002 in Europe on the PlayStation. It was also released on the Amiga and the Amiga CD32 in Europe, but unfortunately, it got lobbed onto the NES and Super Nintendo at the same time. I didn't understand it because it wasn't a very good video game. And this is another example of the mediocrity I spoke of when I talked about Dirty Harry and Harlem Globetrotters. Mediocre games lead to publishers going out of business. And I don't care what anyone says to try to justify it, this game is not good. Strangely enough though, if you decide you get the itch to want to get a physical copy of Alfred Chicken, the Super Nintendo will be your best bet. You can get a copy for Super Nintendo for starting at $8. NES, it's well over $100 for a loose cart. And that's baffling. But when you think about the collector's market, it's really not, because for some wild reason, collectors will just buy a thing because there weren't a lot of them made, or there weren't a lot sold. There's a reason why. This game ain't good. there are lots of other video games starring flightless birds that you can play. Kiwi Craze, flightless bird, it's a pretty good game. Ivy the Kiwi, flightless bird, pretty good game. Bomb Chicken, flightless bird, pretty good game. Anything is better than, hell, the Roadrunner games on the NES and Super Nintendo, better than this game. Play those. I implore you. This game ain't good. But anyway, this has been the 8-Bit Animal. And I'll catch you beautiful people with something better next time. Tomorrow, we're fighting ghosts by kicking them in the face. This sounds like a great idea.